So this is going to be a really short video. I just want to show the creation of the folder that I'm going to be writing the JavaScript in. I'm going to be putting together a really basic HTML sort of harness with a script tag and all that fun stuff. Not super exciting. It'll only be a couple of minutes, but yeah, I like showing everybody everything that I do on video, so you guys aren't lost with how these examples are put together. So again, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a empty folder. So right here I have an empty folder, and this is the folder where I'm going to be placing all of the example stuff. So yeah, go ahead, and if you're using Visual Studio Code or whatever editor you're using, go ahead and open that up. And then in Visual Studio Code, I opened up this it just as a new window. It's not actually in a current folder. So I'm going to hit the Open Folder button. And I'm going to navigate to that empty folder that I just showed you guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Select Folder. And now we have an instance of Visual Studio Code running inside of this folder. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off by creating example dash, or how about index-01.html. And for this, I'm going to do, we'll always need our HTML5 doc type. We'll do our HTML head plus body. So we have that, and I'm just going to put in a h1 example 01. Okay, so we have this. We're going to do a couple more things in this video. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but before we do that, let's verify that live server is working. So in order to use live server, we know that it's installed globally, so we can access it from any folder on our computer. But we're going to need to open up a command line window to that folder I just created, and there's going to be two ways to do that, obviously. We can bring this guy over here, and I can hold down Shift, right-click, and say Open Command Window here. Or, if your editor supports this, Visual Studio Code does, I can right-click the Explorer and say Open a Command Prompt. And now I have a command prompt that is open, and I'm currently CD'd into that particular folder. So make sure you open up your terminal or your command prompt or whatever your operating system calls it. Now, let's go ahead and launch Live Server. So I'm going to say live-server and hit Enter. And boom. So now Live Server is running, and it is serving out that folder that has this index-01.html. So now it also will automatically open up a browser window. And if it didn't, go ahead and just navigate over to whatever address it prints out. So in this case, it's my loopback adapter followed by port 8080. And I can click on this, and I now have this example up. So why is Live Server so cool? Well, Live Server, again, saves me a lot of time, because over here on the right-hand side, I can maybe create a p tag and then do some lorem ipsum. And all I have to do is hit Control-S, and you'll see on the left-hand side it automatically refreshed. So that's why I'm using Live Server. That's why I recommend it. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys. So again, make sure you've installed Live Server globally. Now, you might have had an issue that the Live Server command might have failed for some reason. The most common reason would be port 8080 is already in use by another program on your computer. So what you can do if that happens is go ahead and close out of Live Server. And you can specify a port number, a specific port number for Live Server to use. You can find all those flags by doing --help. So we see we can specify a port, so I can say live server --port equals, and then I don't know, 3000 would be a very uncommon port for you to have blocked on your system. So you can hit Enter, and now you see that Live Server is indeed running on port 3000 now. So again, for this example, just make sure you have Live Server running, and we're going to be having Live Server be running in this directory throughout pretty much the entirety of this course. Now, I'm going to write a quick style sheet because that white really hurts my eyes. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to create a new file called styles.css, and then I'm going to come back to my HTML file, and I'm going to add a reference to that in my head tag. So I'll go ahead and say link rel equals style sheet, and then I'll do an href of /styles.css. And now I can come into styles.css. I'm going to do a couple things. I'll do one thing. I'll do a body tag with a background. It's not a background clip. A background of 1A, 1A, 1A. And notice how Live Server didn't even have to do a refresh. Literally just replaced the CSS without having to do a refresh. I think that's fantastic. I'm going to do a color of DDD and a font family of Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. Pretty standard. And a font size of 10 points. And that's just easier on my eyes. So now coming back over to the HTML, I'm going to nuke out all of this stuff. And I am going to be writing our examples in separate JavaScript files. And the reason for that is partly actually because Visual Studio Code doesn't support IntelliSense in script tags that are that are embedded in HTML, and the other reason is that's just good practice. So to get this example set up and ready to go for the next section, I'm going to right-click, hit New File, and I'm going to do index-01, and then I'm going to do scopes.js, and I'm just going to do a console log hello world in this file. I'll also be sure to open my console in my Chrome window. And now, of course, the last thing that we need to do is come back to our HTML file and include it in. So I'm going to do script with a source of /index-01-scopes.js. Hit Control S, and now you see hello world is being printed out in the console. So this is going to be our kind of our setup for how we're going to be doing our examples in this course. We'll have a index HTML file, and then it's going to be referencing external JavaScript. And yeah, with that, I think we are ready to go ahead and get started and ready to jump into the perils of JavaScript scoping. And we'll see you guys in the next section.